Another thing you can do is, a lot of guys will put weed mats down. I don't like those because bulls like to get under them and stuff. But what works great, have them drop a dump load of crushed limestone.
Okay.
And then just put crushed limestone right around. The moles and stuff don't like it.
Okay.
Keeps the weeds out.
Okay.
Works great.
Okay.
And I don't know if what your pH is here, but it actually helps with the pH.
Sure. I'm gonna plot this year. I put some stuff in last year and it turned out pretty nice. The fence came down last winter. They rubbed it last fall. I trimmed a lot of stuff off of it. This is another example of, this was just like going to hell in a handbasket, similar to those trees that I had back there. This is an old tree. This was planted a long time ago. Yeah, it just never really, this brush and all this stuff was actually grown out into it last year. So last year I pushed some of this stuff back when I turned, this wasn't a food plot last year. So my thought was just clear it out and hope for it to kind of take life like those ones that did in the corner when I trimmed them. Come on guys, come here.
Yeah, so this is another tricky one because you took a lot of the stuff off.
And I don't know what kind of tree it is. I don't know if it's an apple tree.
Yeah.
Here.
I don't see a graph, so it's hard to say what it is. Oh man, here's what we're gonna do with this one. We're gonna try to like open vase this one. This will not be a central leader. We're gonna let this go. I'm gonna take this one that's coming out here.
Because it was growing at this one?
Yeah, it's going at that one. So these are going to be like, this is like called an open vase type tree. You know, it's not perfect right now. So we're probably going to let that one go. I'm going to take this one right here. Take this one. Take that. This can come out. We're going to just start with that this year.
So, goal with this is not to get one branch to become the main. If
you see one like exploding compared to the other two, then later on I probably would
use that as the
central leader.
Okay.
And it's not going to look central.
Yeah.
Because the way it grew is so funky.
Right.
Well, let's just start with that this year.
Okay. So up here we just watch and see how these grow.
I would probably leave. Yeah, I wouldn't. That's all I do this first year. Maybe next year I can come back and show you what I do next year.
Yeah. But the idea is see what happens with these.
Yep. Let's see what happens, and we might end up keeping all three. You know.
Okay.
It's not the perfect tree right now, so we got to kind of see what it does.
Right. Okay.
If that makes any sense.
Yep. I just thought it was an interesting tree, and I'd like to try to. I like its positioning because I'm going to probably end up pushing this food plot a little bit. I'm going to probably open up quite a bit of this and turn this just into a little bit bigger food plot. I want to try to keep this, I want to make it as big as I can to get as much food, but also make sure that I leave like a buffer of cover so that they're feeling safe in here.
Your spruce in there look great for the screen.
Yep. So, and that's pretty much the length of the line I've got. Got that. So.
Yeah, so like those standard trees that you got that we're going to be planting today, you want like 25 to 30 feet between them.
Okay. Okay,
so let's assume here's your edge, right? So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is where I'd put a tree.
Okay. So do you see issues with putting apple trees in the middle of food plots?
I do. I don't like doing it. If it's going to be just a food plot,
right.
It takes away so much nutrients from the plot. It's in the way when you're trying to plant.
Right.
I do it for guys because they want it, but I don't like doing that.
I'd prefer not probably to put it in the plot.
But
I'd rather.
Let's say this wasn't a plot.
Yeah.
This is where I'd have a tree and I'd space them out 25, 30 feet.
So if I wanted to use this as a plot, which is my plan is to develop this into a food plot, a little bit bigger and a little bit better one. It doesn't have to be real big, but I want it to be a good one. So but let's say I wanted to put some apple trees in here too. Would you just push the brush back and create enough space so that I could maybe put a tree right there and push it back 25 feet?
I would.
How do you have to be 25 feet from any tree or from another apple tree?
From any tree or another apple tree.
Okay. So if I was to put one, say where that brush is, right, that little tree right there in the corner, just push everything back.
25 feet roughly.
Yeah. and create an
'Cause
opening.
You want those that's standard size rootstock or standard tree.
Yep.
You want them to get giant
Yeah.
because it'll produce tons of apples.
Would it make any sense to do that? And if, say this is going to be, at some point it could be brassicas, I might put some beans in here this spring, even just through the summer. But let's say I did beans in here in the spring through the summer, my deer eat them off pretty heavily.
Yeah,
so I might just either drill into them with some type of a rape or some type of a fall planting. Mm-hmm. Would it make sense if I put the apple tree there to do clover in the area that is open and then just mow that?
That's a really good idea because it's more shade tolerant.
Right. And not necessarily, I'm not going to work it very often, if ever. And I would rather have that become clover than weeds, probably, because weeds are going to grow anyway.
Right.
So if it's manageable and I can mow it, then I get maybe a 25-foot buffer of clover around my plot. That would make sense.
I do that on a ton of plots back home. Edges, we plant clover, and then we'll have our brassicas, cereal grains in the middle.
Right.
And beans.
And you can put these apple trees in there, and then
That'll be your edge for working ground.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. Okay, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably what I'll do.